What's going on, guys? It's your boy Christian and welcome your faces back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be taking my a7II and showing you what video settings I use to capture video. Let's go ahead and get into the video. So with the a7II, if you guys already know, this camera does not shoot anything over 1080p. But it does shoot 60 frames per second in 1080p, and I use that every now and then when I'm trying to shoot some slow motion. Most of the time when I'm using this camera or I'm recording with this camera, I'm using 24 frames per second, which is what you're seeing right now coming from my Sony FS5. So let's go ahead and jump to the back of this camera so I can show you guys the settings a little more in depth. First things first is I want to go ahead and switch the camera over to movie mode. Once you get into movie mode, all of your settings that you was using before should go ahead and pop up, but I'm going to go ahead and go over these and show you what I changed and what has to be changed for me to be able to shoot. Before I go into doing anything or shooting anything, I want to make sure my camera is actually on the right record set. So first things I do is I go over here to the file format, make sure it's in XAVCS. That's going to be the best codec, the best format that this camera can shoot, and then we're going to be shooting it at 24p 50 megabits per second, and it also can go up to 60p, and I believe it is still 50 megabits per second. So let's go ahead to that. And the only time that I'll be using 60p is if I'm going to be doing any type of slow motion work or any work where I'm going to need to slow down any footage. 60p is definitely going to be your option. Most of the time when I'm shooting just stuff here in the studio, I'm just doing a 24p 50 megabits per second, and I have that same file format at XAVCS. Other than this, after you've gone ahead and set that and know what you're going to be shooting, you can really go all the way back to where you can see what the camera is looking at. And I do have the Samyang 35mm f1.4 on here, so it is a manual lens, so that's why you see that it says manual focus over here on the left. So what we're going to be doing is, since we just switched our camera over to 24p, we can see that our shutter speed is actually up a little too high. So whenever you're doing a shutter speed, you want to have it at least double of what your frame rate is. So in this case, Sony only goes to 50 and it doesn't go to 48. So we'll just go ahead and use that as our staple. Once we get that set up, then we go into looking at what are we going to be shooting and how we're going to be using the camera. So like I said, this is a manual focus lens, but if I am using an auto lens, I can turn on that face detect and have this focus area to wide, so I make sure it's capturing everything that I'm trying to shoot. Other than that, then we move over to the picture profile. Usually I run picture profile 5, gives you the most dynamic range and basically the best image without having to shoot in S-Log footage. Over here on the right, we have the auto white balance. Most of the time I keep this here unless I know exactly what type of lighting I'm shooting under. Most of the time it's switching a lot, so I just keep auto white balance on. Then right below that you have the DR off, which is your dynamic range optimizer. Most of the time I keep this off because I don't want the camera to be trying to push more dynamic range than what the camera can actually give me. So most of the time that is off. And then there's another little thing down here, picture style, and I usually have it as standard. I know a lot of people put that as neutral. For the ISO, you're going to be changing this a lot. Sometimes I use auto, but if I know my light isn't changing, then I'll go ahead and set an ISO that won't change, so I make sure my video won't have any dark spots or any light spots. So that's going to be it. This is how I set up my Sony a7II to either do regular recordings or doing slow motion recordings. Most of this is basically around the same when it comes to cameras or shooting stuff that you know what your settings are going to be. Then you can just dive in and dial it in and then be able to go and shoot without any worries. This has been your boy Christian. Hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button. And if you want to continue to see more videos over here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's been your boy Christian, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.